Okay, here we are wrapping up the whole expo right in this one workshop right here. This is this is what it all comes down to. This is the weekend. It's been great right here at Conscious Life. Yes? Yeah. Well, I'm very happy to announce the workshop is going to pull it all together. Really, these are the top of our fields. This is the people they've all done all these workshops and talks here, and I know for years all you guys have integrated this all, and now you're going to synthesize it and give it back to all of us. We have Meg Benedicte over there, a channel, an advanced clairvoyant, someone who's really understands the nature of reality, right?
Thank you.
Yes. And John Burgos, beyond the ordinary. He is taking us all beyond the ordinary, which is the extraordinary, the extraordinary. Beyond the ordinary is adventure into consciousness. It's about unfolding the greater possibilities for human beings, because we're not ordinary. We are beyond the ordinary. So thank you for being here. And my good friend, I don't go anywhere without her, Debra Giusti.
Yeah, thank you.
We are on parallel paths, and Debra is a major networker. She is tracking the Ascension pathway through the consciousness movement. She is like, I see her as really having an overview of our destiny. And I think this is what I feel you've been working on. Like, where's it all going for us? How, and you're putting it together.
Yep.
Let's give Debra Giusti a big hand.
Thank you.
Okay, take it away, guys. But my name's Alan Steinfeld. It's been really fun and a pleasure to be here. So thank you.
Thank you. And it's so great to have you all here at the icing on the cake of the Expo, which has been fabulous. I'm sure you've all been on your metaphysical adventure journey all weekend. It's really amazing. And we're so happy to have you here at the very last part for coming to see and experience the Ascension process. And this workshop got birthed last year because I've been hosting the Ascension panel for about 4 or 5 years now. And how many were at the Ascension panel over the weekend? Yesterday, which was amazing. And they're always amazing. But what I felt was we weren't able to go deep and really understand the thorough ascension process that's happening now, from the beginning of the awakening to the light body activation, what's really taking place. And that's what I really wanted to know. And I access experts to find out for myself on my own journey. So I said to Meg, let's do another workshop where we can really go deep with everyone and really explain the process. And so that's how this got birthed, and here we are. And so what we've been working on is, and you've all been handed the Ascension tips, a step-by-step process and explaining that so we can understand what's going on. And I think you're all here because you understand there's a spiritual quickening happening. And you can feel it in you. It's not hard to see what's going on the planet with everything escalating and quickening and all that's happening. But you're probably here like me because you want to understand your own personal process and what is going on and how it works and where it's going. And that's what we're going to talk about tonight. And for me, my spiritual process has been ongoing forever. But when 2012 happened, that was a huge quickening. And before that, I went through a huge dark night of the soul, which sometimes happens in these processes, where your life gets totally whacked. Everything I thought that I was attached to, my husband, my business, my money, whoop! And then I was just left with bare core self, where I could either exit because it's no fun anymore, or go deep within my soul and clear everything and reconnect with spirit at a whole nother level and rebuild my life connected with spirit. And that's where this word ascension started coming up. And I really understood the next level of this spiritual path I'd been on my whole life is this whole quickening that's happening right now on the planet that we're aware of and that's designated for this time, and why I incarnated at this time. Because this is a really juicy time to be here now. This is showtime. This is where it's all happening, and so many beings have incarnated at this time because of this quickening. And it's beautiful when we can all come together and teach each other and support each other and elevate together at this next level. So that's what we're going to talk about tonight. And when I was in this process of opening up, I would go to Mount Shasta, which obviously is a highly activated vortex for some spiritual teachings. And that's where I connected with Meg many years ago, like 7, 8 years ago, around 2012. And I felt she is an amazing Ascension teacher. She is here for the ascension of Mother Earth, 1,000% in everything she does and what she does in every level of her life. And I knew I was here to support her because we're in the same lineage of understanding how this works and what we're here and what the potential is of the ascension, the embodied ascension on the planet right now. And so we formed this alignment a long time ago, and we've been working together ever since, supporting this information coming out here. And when we decided to do this workshop, I knew I wanted a sacred masculine to be here as well. The feminine is coming out, and that's really important, really happening, but we need to be in partnership with the sacred masculine. So John's an amazing being, and so he's going to be part of this triad as we're going to discuss this step-by-step process of ascension. And please know we're not going to do questions because we have so much to talk about, but in the post-conference workshop that's happening tomorrow, if you can come at 8 o'clock, we're going to do questions and answers and have everyone get a personal answers to all that they want to ask. So if you're around for tomorrow, please come back, 8 o'clock here. We're going to go another level deeper. And at the very end, we will do an activation, an ascension activation, because that's really important in the ascension process. It's not about just taking the information in here. It's about really activating your light body, your experience, your whole being level is where you really experience it. And Meg is a master at leading ascensions. She does ascension activations. She does that frequently, and you can tap into her to do that. So we're going to do that at the end as well. So we're going to start. I'm the girl on the street like you who's going through this process of this awakening. And life is changing, and I've got this insight, and my life is synchronistically is opening up to this and that. I'm assuming you can all relate to that. So I'm going to ask these experts as we go through the ascension tips what's really going on and what they know about. And first of all, I'm going to read a definition of ascension, and we can start with this as a baseline. And this is something that Meg and I came up with because we're collaborating and trying to define it so we can understand this process that's happening. So ascension is an accelerated spiritual process that's currently taking place on all planetary life forms. It's not just us, it's all across the board during this cosmic evolutionary cycle. It's a step-by-step process initiated through spiritual awakening to up-level you to the higher dimensional existence and quantum consciousness through the gradual healing and clearing of the dense trauma and ancestral patterning, and through activation of the light body, we evolve into the higher fifth dimensional frequencies. We clear connection with our higher self, and we have deep soul embodiment. So that's a mouthful, but that sort of begins to unpack what we're going to talk about at this ascension experience. So I'd like to introduce them both, and I'd like them to continue to talk about what ascension is in your experience. And let me give a little background. Sure. Meg has been an ascension teacher for 25 years, and she originally lived here in Southern California and had a Kundalini awakening, which allowed her to connect with Metatron, one of the major Ascension archangels. She's been working very closely with Metatron and developing her Ascension teachings and trainings ever since. Moved up to Mount Shasta, went to another deep level of teachings and trainings, now lives in Ashland. And she is the creator of Quantum Access, and her website is New Essential. She does monthly online activations, and she's doing a whole program for Ascension that's going to be coming out. And I just love her. So
thank you, Debra. Oh,
so Meg, can you continue to expound on what Ascension is?
Well, you mentioned the activation. It did happen in the '94 earthquake, the Northridge earthquake. And back then, I mean, that's 26 years ago. My goodness. And no one was really talking about Ascension back then, so I was kind of just having to follow my intuition and my gut instinct, because things were happening, but I didn't have a format or system. I didn't know what was going on. Now, granted, I was very blessed that I would start to have these visitations from Archangel Metatron, and so he was kind of my lifeline to spirit and to my higher self, and to really kind of get. I call it, the breadcrumbs, following each step, keep doing this, doing this. So it was very much a kind of a solitary experience for me for decades. And but then in 2012, I was invited to Mount Shasta. 2012, of course, was a pivotal year in the acceleration of the quickening. And I went up there, and I was invited to present at a Mayan calendar 2012 event up there. And when I got back home to Los Angeles after the event, I realized, oh my goodness, my soul is still in Mount Shasta. It's like, oh no, I'm going to have to move. So I was kind of whooshed up there. I was pulled up there. I had no thought beforehand to move. But it was, in a way, a huge timeline shift for me. And so it kind of pulled me out of the LA timeline that I had been in all my life and took me into this very powerful sacred site. It is the root chakra of the three-dimensional grid, and it just really took it to the next level. And one of the things that I had a vision of on the solstice of 2012 was that it was kind of like the viewing room at Cape Canaveral. It was whoever was running the matrix simulation, the screen went dark and it was unlocked. And so that's why in the last 8 years, everything is picking up speed. Everything is accelerating. Also in 2012, our solar system moved into the photon band fully. And so we're getting these solar waves, plasma waves. It's affecting the magnetic field of the planet. It's affecting our magnetic field because we're living on this planet. And so that's why we're seeing so much shifting and changing and clearing and detoxing. And so we're really now moving into the transmutation, transfiguration phase of Ascension. And so you may have already been experiencing a lot of this, the detoxing and the clearing and, really getting in and clearing ancestral trauma and core wounds. I mean, there's a lot that is involved in this, and we'll go deeper into it. But that's kind of my own personal summary of a quick summary of how I got to be at this point. Again, it's been very personal and experiential for myself, and then working with clients for the last 20 years and really kind of watching and learning from sessions with other people's higher selves and hearing how this is really common for all of us, and that helped me because I thought, am I the only one going through this here, because nobody understood what I would try to tell them. It's kind of a challenge to be, you kind of think like you're 10 years ahead of the rest of the world, right? It's like, we don't have a language to communicate this with each other yet. So that's why I'm so thrilled about being here with all you and everyone in this expo, because look how many people are there now and getting it and excited about it and involved in it. So that's just real quick how I got to this point to be here with you today. And I'll give it to John.
Oh, amazing. I'll keep my story short because I know we have a lot to cover, but my experience is that I had a quickening of the quickening. I quickly came in and I found a mentor who, after a few weeks, just cracked the dam open, and I started seeing energy. I had a Kundalini experience. I had started having guides come in and teach me, and it kept rolling out and rolling out. And my guidance was not to go out and do it personally, not to be like the Megs of the world who are leading the pack, but to really collaborate with other people on a high vibrational frequency so that we can bring others to that level as part of the ascensionary expression. So my ascension process was really embodying and going through so that I can translate. So I don't just report through the interviews that I do, but I can also share from my experience what's available, because unless you see someone actually embodying it and going through the process, it still remains up here. And so that's really important. And so by going through the energetic shifts, what's happening not only on a spiritual level, esoteric level, embodying it, our body is adjusting to the frequencies on a continuous basis, as many of you are aware, because you've had the flu-like symptoms, you've had the headaches, you've had to go be a hermit sometimes and then have all the energy in the world other times, and it doesn't seem to make sense. But it's part of this process. And so again, we harmonize and we get into this new song, if you will, collectively. And that's what we're bringing here to the table now, this awareness of what's available when we go through our individual expression of what's happening, and then share that art, that beauty of who you're becoming with others so that they can see what's possible for them. Yeah.
Beautiful. Thank you. I got my own.
You got yours.
So what we're going to do now is go through the Ascension tips, which is something that was just birthed, which is to explain really easily the step-by-step process of ascension. And of course, it's not linear, but our mind likes to understand, what are we going through? What may be the next step moving forward? So we're going to spend 20 minutes on 3 different sections of the ascension. And this is the Ascension tips here, and we're actually going to create an ebook for it. So what you received when you came in, did everyone get a sheet of this? Yeah, so this is the draft format of what we're going to be creating. And by signing up for the email, you're going to receive this book that's going to go much more into depth of the Ascension tips. So the Ascension tips number 1, there's about 15 per each category. And this is awakening. And I would think most of you can relate to that because you're here. So you're awake. You're understanding what's going on. And so the first one is, from the core of your being, cultivate a deep commitment to your personal spiritual evolution and soul purpose in all areas of your life. And I know this was true for me when the awakening happening. It comes from the core. It's a core passion, and it drives your life. It's not something, that is like off. It's like something that you wake up and it moves forward, and it drives your decision and your goals and where you want to go in life. So the ascension path is something that really comes from your core and moves forward. And can you guys
Yes, just to kind of add on to that too, I find that when we have our spiritual awakening, it activates elements of your soul blueprint that initiates that drive. So it's kind of compels you to dive into it. I found I couldn't not do it. Even if I would say, no, I don't want to look at that right now. Oh no, it would just pull you right to it. So it is, in a way, you're coded and wired for this. And when the switch gets flipped and it gets activated and turned on, it will be a very strong guiding force within your daily life.
Definitely a strong and guiding force in your daily life. And what I would like to suggest to everybody is that there's so many things that can grab our attention and so many focuses that we can direct our energy to. And for me, it's really about being devoted to my higher self and focusing that devotion on that. And from that, the wisdom, the trust that comes from within and how that leads you, it's undeniable. There's so much truth. And if you choose to focus on anything, if you have a devotion practice, do that, and you'll be led to places that you can even imagine in your life.
Beautiful. Thank you. Oops. Here we go again.
There we go again. I'm such a creature of habit.
So number 2 embraced your own personal, unique journey. All journeys are different, and they all lead to a similar place, but instigate and develop an inner understanding of ascension that works for you. And I know that's true in my own reality. It's like what I said here with the Conscious Life Expo. It's a magical mystery tour that is my unique path because of where I want to go, where my soul desires me to go, and how it unfolds for me and what doors I call in. And if you notice all the religions, they're all different. It's like the elephant with all these different blind men. It's different ways into that, but they all lead to the same place. So we're all going the same place, but in a very different direction that is unique to us.
I'll start with this one. It's my understanding is that we're all fractalized versions of each other. And so someone once asked, when do you think this is all going to shift? When do you think peace is going to be here on earth? When do you think suffering is going to end? And it's not going to end until the last person is done suffering, because we're all a reflection of each other. And so as you embrace this journey, just realize that your love is needed. Your expression of who you are is so beautiful, truly. And if you can't remember that for yourself, remember it for others, but also keep it in the back of your mind and in your heart that you're doing this for you. Because you deserve this love. You deserve this expansion. There's a benevolence that is gifting this to us as a fractalized version of itself through you. And so be the love that you are. Go into your innocence. Have joy in your expression and passion in it. And allow that to lead. And again, the avenues that open up in that, where you get to discover yourself, becomes a gift of you giving to us.
Beautiful, thank you.
Thank you, John. And also, too, as we're talking about this awakening and your blueprint getting activated and this drive, there could be some resistance from the human part of us or the ego part of us. And so we do want to kind of be compassionate with that side of ourselves, but still say, have maybe some little inner talks, okay, we're activated, all right, it's happening, so let's try to go full 100% heart into it. So it's this, and I found I had to work my way into that a little. It was like 80% I could get into it, 90% I could get into it, and it was just kind of coaxing the essence inside that's afraid of this because it doesn't know what to expect. And so just kind of getting into more and more of the acceptance that something is pretty miraculous is happening inside, and not to be afraid of it because your soul is guiding you through the whole thing. So we're talking about once this lights up inside and it's on, is do your best to be more in the flow with it instead of like trying to kind of resist and get into that acceptance of it. It will go much easier and smoother and faster that way.
And I actually want to add just quickly to that, and it's not a solo journey, so that's why we have amazing way showers like Meg. So reach out for support, reach out to experts that feel aligned to you, and lean in. I couldn't have gone as quickly as I have, and all I know is that I know nothing. We had that conversation earlier, but there's a suffering that has been released. There's a fear that I no longer carry. There's more innocence and joy and wonder that's leading. And it's because I've reached out and I've worked with amazing beings that I've been guided to. And without them, I don't know what my life would look like now. Yeah.
And number 3, be prepared for a complete transformation of your life. Step into a complete overhaul of every part of your being to allow for the soul empowerment of divine power and grace to move through. It's not for woozies. If you really claim this, that is not in your higher purpose is just going to go. Relationships, jobs, where you live, all of that's going to transform. And you just got to go with it and trust that you're going to the highest level, no matter what it looks like.
So true.
Wow. You want to start with this one?
Right, sure. Think of it like whatever you were born into, and so this could be, as Debra said, all areas of your life. It can be thought forms and emotions and patterns and behaviors and ancestral lineage, and so there's this you kind of come into a whole story, right? Well, a lot of that maybe isn't yours, and it's in a way kind of a false self. And so as the soul starts to activate your blueprint and your ascension, in a way it's kind of an inside job, right? But it's getting in there and it's starting this decomposition that's of the false self. And of course, what's in here is radiated out in our outer reality. So as this starts to change and clear and release, relationships, jobs, money, all of it is always, it has to keep up with the change that's happening within you. So we have to be nimble, right? We have to get more fluid and flexible, because the change can come rapidly, and then you can go into periods of just kind of stillness where it doesn't seem like anything's happening, and then more change can come. So it's really a place of trust. Trust your soul. Your soul's got you. Your soul is fearless. Your soul knows everything that's planned and can see the future and can guide you. And so that gave me a lot of comfort when I was going through a lot of the major life changes and decomposition. But we have to kind of clear away the dross so that the divine essence can fill in, and then the outer reality changes to mirror the divine essence. So that's when things really get fantastic. So just stick with it and do the transformation that your soul's guiding you through. Trust that you'll get through it. And I found too, we want to kind of, when things happen that we weren't planning or we didn't like, there's a meaning in all of it. So you can ask, wow, why did that just happen? Or, what am I supposed to learn from this? So you begin to have this kind of conscious interface with your reality and with your higher self. So get ready for, like you said, the magic carpet ride. Get ready for the wild ride, but it's elevating you. You're going to just keep leveling up. Those are the gifts from going through this.
And you'll keep leveling and leveling and leveling, because it doesn't stop. It doesn't stop, but we have a different relationship with it as we go through the experiences. And it's about getting that experience. It's about letting it go through us instead of trying to hold on to something, whether it's an outside reflection of a situation that we want, a relationship, a job, or anything that would be tangible in that way, or if there's something that we want within ourselves. And what quickly starts to dissipate is the judgment of what we think that we're supposed to have, and we start getting into acceptance of what's there and start seeing it as a divine gift, all leading us to a higher state of awareness of the divinity that we're receiving. And once you start having a relationship with that divinity, again, things start to unfold in a different way. But we don't stop. The suffering subdues because we know how to play in the field. But actually, your next level of ascending may be more difficult than the first one ever was, but you're so good at it. You recognize it. You know the relationship. You recognize your shadow aspect and say, hey, I love you too. Or screw you, you can't come along. Wherever you are in your ascension process. But there's no wrong. And so wherever you are in that period, it's about honoring where you are, knowing that there's a gift in that place. And if you can do that, then you're 90% of the way through that transition.
Beautiful, thanks. This is pretty fun, all right. So number 4, become aware that you are a multidimensional being. Realize everything is energy and you are connected to everything. So that's where you step out of the box and step out of the matrix of these very fixated forms that all this is all that there is. And you really start to look beyond, because we only perceive just a slice of reality, and then there's all this out there, and you start to really understand that and welcome that into your insight. So,
I'm going to share an example, and very personal, but I'm just really guided to share this. I was in a situation where I had a very dear friend that was staying with me, and there was I was also beginning a new relationship. And so with this dear friend, she kept leaning in and she kept wanting something that was a lot of heavy energy. It seemed very needy, and she was kind of grabby. And it's like, God, that's so much energy. I don't know what's going on. And then with the new relationship, you're a little too much. You're kind of needy. What's going on? And so there were both mirror aspects of something that was being resolved in myself. And as I was going through it, I was able to see what was happening on both sides, which was a gift because the witnessing aspect is important. I also had to realize that my body was still acclimating. I still had trauma from either past lives or childhood memories that were still instilled in my body. And while I was having some of the reactions of running away or wanting to engulf someone, that stemmed from something that was very young, and my body is still catching up to the ascension process as well. So we have to give ourselves a lot of compassion as we're going through things, and also, like I said earlier, reach out to other people who are familiar with what's going on with this ascension process, so that they can help you see those blind spots so that you don't have to be in that mire for so long.
I loved what you mentioned too about the witness. So as we are kind of opening up this mind of ours from all the lockdown, and it frees us up to start to become the observer of our reality. So in a way, we are multidimensional, so we're here looking out, but then we can be here looking in. Well, that was new to me. That was like so cool. So you're going to start to kind of do that, kind of bounce around. Okay, I'm looking in. No, I'm looking out. I'm looking up. No, I'm looking down, right? So you're opening up these multidimensional brain centers to be able to kind of coexist in all these observer realms. This is very important because this then allows you to then really compassionately observe, like John says, certain patterns that are running or reactions we have or whatever it is that's still what we would consider kind of out of balance. We're able to operate now multidimensionally. We're actually working now with both brains because we're in a left brain society, mostly in the thinking mind, just the physical world. We're opening up this right brain, which is our holographic multidimensional brain. And so we're starting to use both. It's fascinating to actually operate simultaneously with the both brains because I can see you physically, left brain, but then I'm hearing information coming in from the higher self or your higher self, right brain, and so you really start to kind of get nimble on your feet and you're starting to get data, inflowing data from all these dimensions, and you're able to kind of assimilate and kind of translate it through. So we are really opening up the capacity that we haven't had when we were really locked down into the 3D matrix. And we're also, so we're talking kind of multidimensional mind, but what about multidimensional physicality, right? Multidimensional heart, all of this is opening for us. And as Debra said, we begin to work with our reality as this vibrant field of energy. So we're moving beyond linear time, we're moving beyond just physical dense matter. Every dimension that opens to you is additional experience, additional perspective, additional dimensional experience. So that's where life gets very full because you're experiencing everything on multidimensionals at the same time. It's going to be awesome. You just keep going into it.
Great. Number 5, prioritize the importance of getting grounded and pranic breathing. Incorporate daily practices that will consistently help build a strong energetic system so you are grounded and present in your body. So we're talking about being aware of energy and being aware of ourself as energy and keep our energy vital and strong. So it's not just a physical eat right only, but it's really work and develop and keep your energy body really strong.
And so just to add on that, so as you become a multidimensional observer of energy, you can start to see where maybe we weren't really containing our energy, or we let people get into our energy, or we were pushing our energy out on people. So you begin to get this sense of kind of where your field ends and everyone else's begin, right? And so there's this whole new, that was all new to me, this whole new dimensional perspective as an energy field in the world. So this is important that we ground. I ground every morning because otherwise you could be up in the ethers, you guys, and you're not in your body. And I started actually getting dreams from my higher self as communication. And so anytime I would get a house dream, which was basically kind of a symbolic image of my field, right? Okay, how's the house look? And I kept getting these dreams where the doors and windows were open and strangers were in my house, eating my food, watching my TV. And I'm like, oh my field is wide open. And they're like, get the critters out, contain your field, and ground. Because he said, when you're not in your body, you're not in your core center, you're not present, you have zero magnetism. So we want to get that updated, right? We want to be in, and you also aren't containing your field. So then in a way, you're just letting in all the interlopers. So that was really a big learning experience for me. It was like a big aha moment. It's like, because I love traveling in the universe, right? You love in going out into other timelines and all that. But when you do that, you're open, wide open. And so it was just, again, we're all kind of learning how to work with ourselves now as an energy field, an energy body, beyond just a physical body. So what helped me was kind of just to see, okay, I'm basically got two bodies, a physical body and an energy body, and I need to start kind of uniting them and merging them and working them as one entire system in a way, one entire field. And that helped me. Then I wasn't splitting, kind of going one or the other. I was able to kind of start to work as one whole, complete energy field. And once you get that awareness, you're going to watch how people work with you and your energy, and you'll watch your own energy patterns too. So this is where we're kind of refining ourselves a bit.
Yeah, it's beautiful. And also it's important to ground in, and it's funny, previous seasons on the show, I interview psychics and channels and all that, and yeah, we'd go up and out and do these processes, and they were amazing to acclimate to the high vibration. But really, for me, it's been about a couple of years, but the conversation has really gone deeper into embodiment and grounding it in and putting it in, and I'm finding a lot of the channels and psychics, they're not channeling as much as they're sharing what they are holding. And so that's really important. And part of that embodiment is, again, the ritual, the energy hygiene on a daily basis is so important, because you want to ground in all the information that you're receiving. And as you open up your channel, you're going to be receiving a lot more, and it can throw you off. It can wobble you. So as you ground in, you have a better relationship with it. It's a conversation, you're not a victim of it. And you get to choose. But really make sure that you're trying to keep as pristine energetically as you can. And again, it's a simple meditation. It's grounding, and it's making it a priority for 3-5 minutes a day at the least. It's easy. It's not a lot of work, but a lot of us don't do it. We'd rather turn on the news, or if you're going for a run in the morning, do it while you're running. Yes. If you're taking a shower, do it while you're showering. It's not anything extra, and you will feel so much better the rest of the day. And it's not just for you, because then what are you gifting the world with? The people do you interact with your pristine energy? And you're inviting the collective into by you being the reflection of what's possible in that clean energy, which is your intention.
I want to add to that too. Thank you. Just to kind of add on that too, as we're going through the awakening process and we're getting the Kundalini started, think of it like electrical current is running through your biocircuits. So you do need to ground that electrical current, or you're going to start shorting out, and you're going to start feeling awful, and you're going to start feeling like all zapped out. So the grounding is good for that too. The more that you can, lock your feet onto the earth, get in nature as much as you can too, because that's a 0-point field of order that helps us ground too. But just think about it. Okay, I'm now becoming a light body. I'm running electrical current through my system. I need to ground regularly.
That's a great point.
And that's the next one, number 6, connect with nature on a regular basis. When you connect with nature, you step into a harmonious field order. You cannot manifest in Gaia's physical world without the nature kingdom, devas, and the elementals.
I kept hearing this over and over. I was living in Marina del Rey, and I kept hearing my team go all the way out to the end of the jetty and connect to all those elements, right? So you're out there, and there's the water and the sky, the air, the sun, the ground, the earth, and I'm like, what the hell am I doing out here, And they're like, you have to reunite with nature, with the elementals, because we can't they just kept saying, nothing exists here without nature. So keep that in mind. This is a key point for us to kind of go back into union with our planetary field and the nature elements, nature spirits, elementals. And then also, too, it's about finding, if you can, a sweet little spot in nature near you where you can go to kind of regularly. I've got my big redwood tree where I go to, and I literally hold, hug it and ground into the roots and the ley lines of the crystal grid, and I can get busy with work, and by a week or so, and I can hear my higher self, time to go to the tree. And I'm like, okay. So be in nature. I find when I get into the woods and into that, the creek and the serenity and the wild animals, and pretty quickly I am in bliss. Like, it is a field of beautiful order, a 0 point order. So when you feel like you're maybe getting kind of stressed out from the chaos of the world, get into nature, and it just does you wonders.
Yeah, absolutely. It's the reason I moved to Hawaii. I'm just immersed in it, and it's beautiful. But if you live in a concrete jungle and you can't get into it, get a plant and nurture it and have a relationship. Talk to it. When you're in the shower, receive the water. It comes from nature. If there's pets around you, or if you see them on the streets, have that connection, even a psychic communication, but open up to the flow of connecting something that is in rhythm more with Gaia. And as you do that, you'll find that will feed you as you're feeding it with your love as well. It's always a reciprocal relationship. It's there to give to.
Great. Number 7, have an ongoing daily meditation and spiritual practice. Commit to an ongoing daily meditation to quiet the mind, enhance spiritual connection. And I know for me, when 2012 happened, it was like, this is non-negotiable. Connecting with spirit every day, tuning into source. Before I'd meditate, then I'd stop. Then I'd meditate. Now, every single day, 4 to 5 a.m. is when I get up and connect. And it's like brushing my teeth. I have to do it. It's what I do every day.
I am not quite as disciplined as Debra. But I can feel the effects when I'm not. I can feel when I'm getting more in my mind. I can feel when I'm rushing at somebody else's pace. I can feel when I'm worried about things that I wouldn't be as worried when I'm in that flow of that state of meditation. And again, it can be as simple as 3 minutes a day. But just getting into that rhythm. And then it's not about the practice for me of meditation, but it's about being in relationship with a part of myself, whether it's my breath, or if my mind's running, being in relationship with mine at that moment, and just seeing what wants to flow through, because it wants to flow through. When it doesn't, it's just because we haven't been acclimated. We haven't allowed our heart to sync up, our energetic being to sync up with what's trying to process through us. And so when we get into the space to allow that processing to happen, then things start flowing more fluidly, and we start receiving guidance and these downloads and information as part of our ascension process in the way that it's so beautiful and graceful that we'll start getting into a practice just because it feels so damn good. Yeah.
Yes, and I think that's an important point. It's, there's an end game here. So meditation is, yes, it's getting into more quiet stillness, but it opens up your channel. So that's the key. We want to be able to. So I do actually, kind of depending what I need, I do either a very silent stillness meditation, or I do more of an active intention meditation. So there's lots of types. So finding what really resonates for you, what works for you. And when I first had my activation, my mind was scattered all over the place. I had all this programming running in it, and I'm thinking, I can't meditate. How many times have you thought that? I can't meditate. I can't do this. And so, of course, my higher self says, all right, we're going to kind of start at the basics here. And my higher self had me stare at a candle flame every night for 2 years. And they're like, girlfriend, you need to get some focus. And it was agonizing, to be honest with you. And so I'd kind of learned, okay, I'm going to play meditative music in the background, because then that'll occupy my monkey mind, right? So that I can just stare at this candle. But I have to say it worked, because now I work with clients literally like all day, and I'm holding locked focus and reading their field. So you can do it. If I can do it, you can do it. So there is an end game. It is really going to improve your ability, because when you think about it, we're living in the quantum field. We have to hold focus on what we want to create there. If we're kind of like woo-woo-y all over the place, you're not going to be able to lock and create. So find what works for you. And as John and Debra said, it does not have to be like hours and hours, you guys. It's a check-in, right? It can just be a couple minutes just checking in, breathing, getting still, quieting down, because then you're practicing that multidimensional observer when you do that. So it's all good. It's all going to build.
All right. Number 8, consistently take steps that raise your vibration in every thought, action, and deed. And this includes all the energy you exchange, the foods you eat, the thoughts you think, the actions you choose, and the people you interact with the most. And I know this is a key of raising vibration. So.
Yes, because once you begin to realize, okay, I'm just energy and everything around me is energy, and they all have their own unique frequencies, you start to get more sensitive. You felt that? I like getting way more sensitive to the vibration of energy. And so with that then, you are in this process of, as we're talking, leveling up, you keep increasing your energy frequency, you start kind of doing the house cleaning and shifting away whatever is kind of a drag, right? It's a low vibe frequency, it could be drama, it could be lots of stuff going on. You begin to go, I am so not comfortable with this anymore. And you begin the clearing process of moving it out of your reality. And it could be people, places, things, it could be all kinds of stuff. So being sensitive, feeling in, maybe you can ask, is this for my highest good? Is this a good resonant match? And if it's not, you begin that clearing process out, kind of cleaning up your life. And so that you can keep accelerating up, you can keep ascending higher. And as Debra mentioned, some of these ways to do that, of course, everything in your life has energy. So you start kind of watching, well, what am I ingesting into my field? So it could be the food, it could be emotions, it could be thought forms, it could be all kinds of stuff. So starting to clean up what you're ingesting into your field as well, getting really pristine, high frequency foods, friends, projects, living space, all of it. So it is a bit of a refinement again on the energy you're going to allow into your life.
Yeah. And the cool part of all of this is that as you keep going higher, you don't leave anything behind. You're just an empowered choice. And so if you want to play the game and have the experience and swing up and down, it's always available to you. But I can almost guarantee you, for most of you, that you know what it feels like back there, and you're not going to go back because you know the difference. But you can play there if you need to replay a relationship or be in an energetic field because you think you need to be in a particular relationship or situation. That door is always open to you. But I would recommend that you stay up here and you keep your door open for someone to meet you there or a situation to meet you there as you go through that. So when I went through, again, this really quick ascension process, I was eating, I was eating a lot of processed foods. I was exercising excessively to stay in shape based on a limitation of not enough. I was listening as I was exercising and doing other things to music that was jarring to my system. I liked a lot of hip hop and rap because I liked the beat. And after this kind of awakening took place, I couldn't go back to those places. I can now because I'm at a place where those energies don't affect me in the way that they did before because I'm in a different belief system. And I'm carrying my body different energetically. And so my ability to absorb what I choose to absorb and discern what doesn't serve me comes very naturally now. It's very organic as to what serves my higher self. And you'll find that that organic process will start happening within you as well, where you don't have to work so hard for it. The awareness doesn't have to be there consciously on a continuous basis. It kind of starts running on autopilot. And so ingest good foods, listen to music that feels beautiful, read poetry, go out and play, be a kid and create. And those are higher form of energetic outputs that are going to serve you tremendously for the rest of your life.
Great. This is a good one. Number 9. Learn to fully accept and appreciate everything that happens in your life. All that you interpret as good or bad on all levels and at all times. Everything is your teacher, your gift, and guiding you on your ascension journey. And this is a really clear teaching, because sometimes things happen that turn things totally upside down, and then you realize later it's what you needed. So you can't really, argue with the universe, argue with God, Goddess, You just got to accept what comes to you and look for the blessings and look for the gift in it and look for the teaching in it.
Oh my God, there's so much in that. There's so much to share in that. And a big message that I've been getting recently, just channeled in, is to get to where you want to go, be exactly where you are now. And that's not about just being in the present moment, but really, all of y'all, if you're sitting in this room, the abundance that you have in this life, how you're receiving from others, even though you may not think you're receiving, because you have the affluence to pay for a ticket to get here. The food that you get to ingest that others don't, your beloved that might be sitting next to you or a phone call away, this technology that's serving all of us to ascend. Technology is an amazing ascension tool that gets vilified so much because of the energetics and the EMFs and all that, but no, it's a gift. Start seeing all these things. Start seeing the political system as a gift that is breaking down so that we can see where we have broken down. Start seeing what people consider the destruction of Gaia as a gift, because Gaia's not going to die. She's not going anywhere. She loves us so much that she's only reflecting what we're doing to ourselves. So when we start getting out of the victim mentality and start seeing all of these situations as gifts of the love from the divine for us, from our higher self towards us, from our soul saying this is the experience that you chose because you're choosing to ascend at a rate that no one ever has before. Let me gift you this to you now because you're prepared and it's time.
Beautiful. It's so true, because the soul has a plan for you. And the soul can see in the past, the present, and the future. So we have to start realizing that there's really nothing random or coincidental coming in. This is very purposeful. The soul is bringing in these life experiences or helping to clear away what actually isn't for your highest good, but you may not realize it yet. So the soul is kind of orchestrating all the changes that are happening in your life. It's just really our human ego self that goes into victim thinking, how could you do this to me? That kind of reaction, like, this is horrible. So when that gets triggered, you're in the observer consciousness and you're like, whoop, okay, some of my victim just got triggered. And so that way then you don't sink into it with the victim mentality. You actually help that part of you. It's probably a little less evolved part of us, maybe just a kind of an immature, wounded part of us that's crying out, help me. So that's what I found, observing, kind of watching for the signs, asking what's the lesson, what can I heal here, what can I learn here, what can I clear here. Go at it that way instead of sinking into the kind of the pain and the suffering of the victim, because we aren't victims. It's just a less evolved part of us that needs our help. So that's when I just said, okay, I'm putting all my trust in my soul. We got a master plan here. It's running, it's working. And then when I get triggered, I know, okay, we got some work to do right now, and I'm going to just sit with my poor little wounded human part of me that's in victim right now and help it through, because we really want to kind of take that part of us with us into ascension, right? And I would talk to it, say, okay, come on, we're going to ascend together, so let's work together and not fight this process. And that really helped. So it's really, again, recognizing that there is a master plan in your reality, and we have to kind of keep the less developed parts of us to catch up with all that.
I want to add to that also. And as you're going through your process and as you go through that and you catch yourself, judgment is the cause of suffering.
Good point.
And it's our judgment that we've done something wrong, that we didn't do it right, that we're not doing it fast enough, that we're hurting somebody else, that somebody else is hurting us, that somebody else is doing something to somebody else. And again, there's a soul evolution that's happening that you don't have to understand for the other person. How could you? And so this is where the concept and the embodiment of sovereignty comes in, because once you can encapsulate your essence as a soul within and walk with that open communication, you start seeing other people's journey as so appropriate for them. And so your love, your service to the world is amplifying your light to let them see what's possible if they choose. And the gift is that they get to give that to you as well if you're not choosing that. But we're going through our processes together. We're going through our evolution and our ascension together. And again, don't judge yourself if you're blocked. Don't judge yourself if you're in fear. Don't judge yourself if something's not going in the direction that you want, and you may think that you did it to yourself also. It's all part of this unraveling of consciousness that's emerging, because there's no thought form that's wrong. There's just a perception of that thought form that creates your reality. And you'll soon find out that you're able to alchemize the life that you want by choosing the perception of the thought form and what direction you want to take it in. And that's multidimensional living.
Great. Number 10, I'm just going to read because we're getting on with it and I want to go into it, which John has mentioned. Get expert professional coaching, support, and training on your journey, such as working with Ascension teachers, guides, spiritual healers, nutritional coaches, acupuncturists, utilizing all modalities such as breath work and many forms of yoga, like Kundalini yoga. This is an ongoing key to support your whole ascension journey. And this is kind of obvious. If you do anything in life, if you want to excel, even in business, you get people that know more than you do, and you absorb their information. So this is a key. And of course,
You don't have to do it alone.
John has a show that has a lot of teachers and guides on it, and Meg is a top teacher.
I want to ground that in real quick because it's
Sure.
important, because I went through a journey last year where I was having symptoms and I was going through a growth period, but my body needed attention that was also very grounded. And so I reached out, and I was going through depression. My body was tired on a continuous basis and very much part of what you'd consider ascension symptoms. But I needed supplementation for my body. I needed an expert to look deeper. And so it's really important. I hear of so many people calling things ascension symptoms. My ex-girlfriend was having a bump growing in the back of her head, and she's like, "Oh, I'm ascending, I'm growing," and it was cancerous. No, but this is no joke. And she had a 3-pound tumor in her brain, and she survived it. She got to the other side of it. We did a lot of work together, and she's amazing. But we can't let those things go. We need to look at all aspects, because everything in this life, again, all the technology is a gift. And let's use it that way for our growth and our evolution.
I'm going to add to that too. Thank you for bringing that up. As I mentioned earlier, we have both a physical body and an etheric body, so you need to be conscious of both and help both. And so finding what you resonate with most, be a naturopath or homeopath, whatever it is, acupuncture. I did acupuncture for over 10 years. I worked with breath workers. So, and so you're taking care of both bodies as you go through this process. So I think that was a very good point that you brought up.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And this is a fun one. Observe and utilize all the signs and synchronicities that will begin to appear in your life, for they will facilitate the development of your ascension. And understand that everything has consciousness and meaning.
Oh, boy, this is the fun part for sure. So as you're getting into more of that observer consciousness, we're opening up this right brain, our holographic mind, and so we begin to see holographically all the signs, all the messages that are coming to us from spirit, from your higher self, from your angels, from the universe. And it could show up in a billboard as you're driving. It can show up, right, and someone just calls you when you were thinking of them. I mean, there's so many ways you're going to start to see these signs and synchronicities and messages. As Debra said, the consciousness is trying to talk to you. So as you get more and more into that, being the witness, being the observer, you're going to be getting lots of great guidance from your team, from your higher self, from your angels, from the universe. And this can show up, as I mentioned, in kind of more of the physical stuff. But I can't tell you how many times I would literally wake up in the middle of the night and sit up and have this massive aha moment, like, whoa, that was brilliant. All right, I now finally get it. So as you go into this open, okay, bring it to me, right? You're just open and you're receiving and you're paying attention. Like, oh, wow, we got a live one here, you know, and they're going to start sending you a lot of information, a lot of signs. And I found that kept me going because I didn't have too many people I could talk about with this. So it was really helpful. So watch for what's getting mirrored back to you. It's all brilliant. It's all intelligence. It's all consciousness. It's really there to help you.
It's wonderful. And it's not just the good things. It's like, check your bank account. It's like, oh shit. It's like, but it catches you. There's like this divine guidance. There's this awareness from your soul. Like that's making sure that you're taken care of. And so feel that support that comes in. You're about to get a flat tire. It's like check in, and all of a sudden you wouldn't have looked at your tire, but there's a nail in it. It's things like that. And my suggestion is be in play and wonder with things that you think are coincidences or maybe just your intuition coming in, and allow it to be bigger than maybe it is for a while. Don't make it everything. Don't make everything a sign, because then you're just living outside of yourself, right? But really allow yourself to be in the innocence and the wonder of what's showing up. I had a purple buffalo dream a few days ago. It's like purple, and it kept jumping on my bed, and it left my bed, and it jumped back on, and it left my bed, jumped back on 3 times, and it was kind of an lucid dream. So I remembered, it's like purple buffalo, what the hell does that mean? Well, today at the conference, at the last minute, I kept wanting to go to the bottom level to go check out this booth, this Native American woman who's doing readings, and I caught her at the last reading. And we went in, and she's, I've got buffalo information for you. And the buffalo's giving you this information. And her whole booth was purplish color. She's wearing a purple shirt. It's like, it's guidance. And it's guidance. And so you'll become more and more aware of it the more you play with it. You'll find how it keeps showing up. And we can dismiss it from time to time, but be aware that what's for you will always be for you. And our guides and the energy in your soul will find different ways of communicating it with you.
Great, beautiful. Fun. This is a beautiful one. Consistently embrace life and all relationships in your life with complete acceptance and unconditional love. So love is a big part of this, because that's where we're going in all of this, is the love frequency, the love consciousness. Do you want to speak to that?
Yeah, that's just, it's so tender for me, because it cracks my heart open and makes me shield it both at the same time, because it's vulnerable. And there's a quote from Gangaji, who's an amazing spiritual teacher, that I heard her speak once, and it just stuck with me so beautifully, and is allow your heart to be broken 10,000 times. And it's not breaking apart, it's breaking open. And by accepting those relationships, and but again, witnessing the gift that those relationships are, because once love is given, it can never be taken away. And that goes for the love that you give as well. So embrace that, and be aware of that. And God, it's vulnerable, but it's freaking beautiful. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I found when I first started going through the process that I had like a locked heart. And I had real shallow breathing, and it was all tight in here, and it was like all guarded. And so I had to do breath work to start to kind of open and get inside. It was literally like there was a wall there. I had to like break that open so I could get inside and do the healing that was required in the heart. So I really don't think I ever experienced pure love before, because I couldn't get in. And so that was such a shift for me. And I think I wasn't in my heart either. So I couldn't give pure love either. And so it was definitely a game changer for to get the heart open, get the breath open, get in, start doing the healing work in the heart, and begin to start to feel authentic love. And it was, universal love, pure source love, soul family love, just coming in. So then I could show up with others now and share that love with them. And it wasn't where I was trying to take from them. I was able to hold present now in my heart that had love finally. It wasn't empty in there. I had love in there that I could now vibrate with them. And that was monumental. So the quality of connection with people just goes exponential. It's just phenomenal. So getting the heart open and getting that love in there, and then that lifts your connections with others way up.
And I want to actually take it back, since I am the masculine in the group, to take it back down into grounded also, because we talk about love, but that includes loving everything. And that includes loving the shadow also and having that relationship. And so for me, part of the big awakening process through so many shamanic trials, if you will, is also loving that primal part of myself. The masculine that would be rejected or that would be judged a specific way, going into the anger, going into the rage, but for myself to allow it to come up and through as part of my empowered being, not something that was confused in the world and I didn't know how to direct. And the time will come for that through your ascension, and be aware that it's something to be embraced and not something to be overcome, because it's only the judgment of it that keeps it repressed. But when you bring the harmonics of the higher vibration into the shadow, it has the ability to rise up with you and integrate in a way that empowers you and opens up your channels in ways that just functioning from this higher state alone will not allow. It's got to be a complete embodied experience in this ascension process.
And that is the next one, or piece of the next one. That is a difficult one, is self-love. And it's such a key. It is really a key, because if you cannot love self, which is source, which is the divine, it's not going to go anywhere.
Self-love.
When I was going through that process, when I mentioned earlier that there was this depression and my body was breaking down, and I even had suicidal thoughts, which is crazy. A lot of people people that were really close to me in my life were saying, well, just think higher. You're thinking the thoughts that you're perpetuating, and so you're becoming of it. It's like I was really clear. I knew immediately, I'm supposed to go deeper into this. I'm actually supposed to go in and through and have a relationship with this aspect of myself that I've ignored for so long. And that was self-love. To go in and have that communication with it, and to accept it and to be with it and allow it to do what it was doing. And what that taught me when I went that deep with it, by not bypassing it or putting a superficial layer over it, I got into a level of compassion for others in my life where I thought where they had transgressed me, where I saw their suffering in a way that I couldn't before. I thought I was pretty compassionate before, but my empathy, my ability to hold compassion from a very grounded and someone who's visualizing it from the outside in, almost like a therapist, and really holding that heart space in it and that love, was so strong that my ability to have compassion for other people's suffering and not try to take it on or try to fix it for them is tremendous. And so that gift and that act of service of my own self-love brought up something in me that I actually get to emanate for others, because your process isn't wrong. I'm not going to try to fix what you're doing. I'm just going to hold what's available, so that if there's any confusion, that perhaps you see a guidepost that can lead you towards the light that you're heading.
For me, self-love was definitely a challenge, and so as the observer, I'm watching for where there's the negative thought forms and the judgments and the self-criticism. I had a very critical father, so I was hearing his voice, of always criticizing, and so this did require some, as John said, like going deep into it and healing whatever was cycling kind of in the background that was not of love and acceptance. It was rejection. And I found when you have this kind of inner rejection going on, it fragments us, right? It splits us. Similar to like if we're really rejecting someone outside ourselves, we're pushing them away. So we're splintering, we're fragmenting. And that's the opposite of what we're trying to do. We're trying to unite and unify and blend and merge and become holistic, you know. And so this took some time for me, and I did get some outside help, kind of a second pair of eyes and a heart to be with me and help me move through the patterning and the programming that was running. That was self-rejection. I had a perfectionism programming running. Okay, that's like, that'll wipe you out. So had to work on that one too, because we're never going to win that one. So it was just kind of finding what in me is denying me self-love, right? And then as I was able to heal those and clear those, then you just come in and you're just like in your own warm hug. You're just holding yourself in love and acceptance, and people can feel that, and they feel safe to be with you, because if she's going to love herself, she's going to be loving with me too. So it was really what a process that is. And for some, you may have to go through what I did, and some you may not. You may have not had that kind of parental patterning. You were just, loved and accepted growing up. I just found that I had to do some healing work on that, but the benefits are amazing.
And this last one has been really powerful for me. This is the end of the first section of the Ascension tips, so there's lots more we have to share. But this is a really wonderful one, and this is develop an ongoing connection with Ascended Master teachers and guides. And from what I understand and have experienced, there's a lot of Ascended Masters working with the planet now to assist us, and they're there to help us. And I have a whole Ascended Master team that I bring in my morning meditation. And Meg works directly with Metatron, as I've said.
Okay, sure. So it's just been just a beautiful blessing to have these guides kind of standing next to me, walking with me on the path, on the journey. I definitely have had some pretty amazing visitations with Archangel Metatron. There was one morning when I woke up in like 4 a.m. and I felt the bed sink and someone sat on the bed, and I'm like, oh my God, and you freeze and like, is this benevolent? I'm immediately like, should I scream and then I heard Metatron say, no, this is Metatron. I'm like, oh, thank God. Okay. And he held me. He helped, he put his hand on my heart and activated Metatron's cube in my heart center. He put it in my third eye, and all this stuff is going on and activating. And so he's just been really close with me over these years to, in a way, I feel like I'm just one of the representatives of the Metatron healing modality here on the planet. But my God, I could never have done this without his support. So it's opening up. I work with thousands and thousands of light workers over the last 20 years, and everyone has their own support team. You all have your own team, and they could be different than mine and everybody else's, but we are just being so blessed with our own personal angels and guides and ascended masters. So to start with, you can just begin in meditation to say, now, I personally don't call anyone in unless I go through my higher self. In a way, my higher self's the gatekeeper, because there's also a lot of false teachers out there too. So I go through my higher self and invite my personal support team in to communicate or guide me or show me visions or just be love here with me. And so that way then you're beginning a conversation. You're starting to open the channel up to work with them. So you can just begin to invite them in if you're not directly connected to them yet. And for me, I don't actually see like very clear like facial features. I just see light beings. That's who I work with. I work with my spiritual team, my light team. And I also noticed over the years, some can come in and some can move on. So they might come in maybe for a certain time in your life that you're getting some kind of specialty. Maybe you're starting your service, or you're starting a marriage, or having a child, or whatever. So you can get specialists kind of popping in and out as well. And it could be just a couple, and it could get some people I work with are like huge teams, so it's very individual, but you can just start. Again, you're the master of your energy field, so you're the one who invites them in, and you can begin to work with them. They're there for you.
Oh, they're there. They're there, for sure. And if you're not sure if you can have a connection with them, it's a very simple exercise, and I'd suggest that you do it every day, daily basis, is to do automatic writing. And basically sit down in the morning, I find is really good for me. Sit down and grab 3 pieces of paper and just start with that. And you need to go longer, but commit to 3 pieces of paper front and back and just start writing. And don't pick up the pen until you turn the page off. No stopping, no pausing for anything. And no spelling. It doesn't matter if it's legible or not. Just write, and allow what comes through to come through. And you can ask who this is and not judge it. So don't judge your thoughts. It can be the grocery list. You can be complaining about everything. It's whatever it is, just continue writing until the end of the 3 pages. And then you're going to be amazed at the information that you receive from yourself in that process. So whether you think that you're connecting or not, I can almost guarantee for everybody in this room that you're going to receive guidance that you don't know where it's coming from, and sometimes it comes across very biblical or poetic. It's in a different tone that's outside of you. And so you'll start recognizing the tone as something that you're not embodying in this human form at this time. And it's wonderful guidance. And just an audit for that. If you start getting information that's judging you, that's commanding you to do things, that feels heavy, that's directing you in a specific direction outside of your free will, ask where it's coming from, or just shut it out. Say, no, you don't belong here unless you can come in and play nice. Or they can't come in. And invite other guides to come in, because this guidance that comes in, it's loving, it's benevolent, it wants the best for you, and it's not going to push you aggressively. It might direct you in a very motherly, fatherly type of non-judgmental tone, but it will never push you or bully you into anything. So be aware and start that practice. It's beautiful. I had a deep connection with the Christ consciousness, and that Mary would come in for me. She came in for me when I was 7 years old, and an amazing process. I felt love that I still haven't felt to this day, or maybe I've touched it. I pushed the Jesus energy and all that away. I grew up very Catholic, and I had to reformat the interpretation of that. And as I pushed it away, it started coming in. And I started having a different relationship with Jeshua. And I'm so connected to that Christ consciousness light. It's part of who I am in my essence, no doubt. There's just no denying it. So once your essence comes through, own it. Walk it, live it, express it. Because if it's coming through you, it's part of your art. And God, again, we can receive, we can all benefit from you authentically being what your essence is calling you to be.
Beautiful. So that was the first section of the Ascension tips. We could spend weeks here talking about it. And we are going to be writing this book, the 3 of us, Ascension Tips ebook. And then it'll go into description or maybe chapters on all those sections. But I just want to touch on, and tomorrow at our post-conference workshop, we'll have more time and be able to go into it. So the second section starts to get really fun. It's transmutation, where you really start to go through the alchemical transmutation of your process in your life. You have to learn to contain and protect your energy. You start to work with your ego and dismantle your ego's victim mentality and controls over your life. You start to have more ascension flu phenomenon and learn how to adjust for that. You develop your intuition. Your intuition really comes online. That's part of activating your light body, and you start to work with that in your daily life. And it's more work. You do your shadow work. That's a really big piece of that. And you start to work with healing core wounds, because if you don't heal the core wounds, you can't come up and raise your frequency to the higher levels. And you work and connect with and heal your inner child is another piece of that. You work on resolving outstanding karma and completing soul contracts. And you work, like we're going to do in a little bit, because I want to make sure we have time for activation, work with the energies that come in and make your energy body a vehicle receiving the higher galactic energies to help escalate your ascension process. And you learn to connect with and embody and live from your higher self. That's a big piece of it. And you become aware and connect with your soul family, like we're doing here today. Find those pockets of people that are choosing the ascension process and support each other and teach each other, live together, work together, collaborate with projects together. Just any more on...
Soul tribe, right?
Yeah.
Recognizing in your soul tribe.
And then ascension, the last part is... Look at my notes here. Embodiment. And that's where you really start to live it. And you learn to live constantly in the now. That's a key that many spiritual teachers teach.
Yeah, as Debra's looking for that on the show, it's if the teachers that I invite aren't embodying, they can't be on the show anymore. We've gone into a different place, and they're wonderful, but what I want to lead our community into is part of this, and I find that the teacher role has changed, and the way shower is really showing up in a bigger way, because you all already have this information, you have the wisdom. Now it's like, who's walking it, and who can lead the way in that way, so that we have a barometer to adjust and acclimate to, and even surpass. We don't have to keep following the way showers. We get to bring in our creativity and expand upon it. It's being called for now.
And other points of embodiment, and this is all in what we gave you. Play and have fun with life. Don't be so serious. Ascension is serious, but it's not. If we don't have fun, it's not going to integrate and be part of our life. Help heal and balance and integrate your masculine and feminine. All these are big topics that they could share so much, and we will tomorrow. Expand and live from your heart, which is the doorway to reality, the 5D reality. Kundalini activations. Understand and utilize the transformations, the DNA transformations. That's a big part of the ascension process, is DNA activations and transmutations. Learning how to manifest is a key to ascension, being able to manifest in your life. And of course, experiencing fifth dimensional reality and being able to exist in the fifth dimensional reality. And, which Meg teaches so well, activating your light body and your Merkaba Taurus, operate within the universal law of sovereignty, and consistently live in unity consciousness. And also support the global ascension in global meditations, grid work, ley lines, activation, sacred site clearing. And there's much more here. But I want to make time for our personal activation so we can have an experience. But first of all, aren't these amazing teachers and wagers? Yeah. And it's my pleasure to bring them out and have them here for you. So, but I want to give Meg her time to lead us in an ascension activation.
I want to get it started real quick, though, because I want to do an invitation for everybody. I think today's the Leo full moon, the golden Leo full moon. So I want everybody in the room, I want to invite you to embody that Leo type of energy and let your energy go big in the room. Allow yourself to expand and just get ready for the ride as you go on a ride with the magic carpet ride with Meg.
Thank you. Yes, I'm a Leo, so I'm like, woohoo, Leo full moon. Okay, so I'm going to give you like a couple second primer here on what we're going to do today. So as I mentioned, I work very closely with Archangel Metatron. And so if you're not familiar with his sacred geometry, this is it. It's called Metatron's Cube. And it's made up of 12 circles around a 13th circle. So you've got outer 6 circles, inner 6 circles, and then the center 13th circle. Embedded within the sacred geometry of Metatron's cube are the 5 platonic solids and the double star tetrahedron, as you'll see there. This, of course, is called the Merkaba. The Merkaba is the geometry of our magnetic field torus, if you've heard of the term torus. This is the rotating magnetic fields. Well, we haven't been doing that much. Our field has been locked in. Our magnetics are very dense and locked in. So when we use Metatron's cube, this is, again, this is a technique that I brought through doing a lot of trance meditation, going back to the mystery schools of Zep-Tepi, Egypt. This is technology that was done there, and of course in other star systems. And so we're bringing it back again. We'll be able to access it and utilize it again. And so when we work with Metatron's cube, this starts to open up your Stargate. So you can flip it to this one now. It's a little smaller, but
I'm the PowerPoint.
yeah, really.
I like that title.
You're the Vanna Wright. And so we're going to, in a sense, step onto Metatron's cube portal. And so this is what you're seeing. You'll step into the center, give it your own energy, your own light, and it begins to rise up and create an anti-clockwise vortex around your body and your field. This is called the quantum vortex, if you've not heard of it before. Now, it's always going to spin anti-clockwise. Why? Because if you look at kind of basic science, physics, clockwise compresses energy and creates a dense particle of matter. So we need to go the opposite. We need to unlock the dense matter so we can pull out all this stuff we're clearing out. So it's always going to go anti-clockwise. It also will start to collapse the time barrier. So then this is how we open up to the multidimensional quantum field, and we can start having fun out there and picking the outcomes that we want to bring into our reality. So we're going to open up the quantum vortex around your field, and then you'll notice we're going to start to work with our energy flow vertically because we have this chakra channel. And that's our gateway, our pathway up to the higher self and up to the abundant universe. That also is probably clogged up. You know, we got clogged tubes here, so we want to open up that chakra pillar, and that then gives us direct connection to our higher self. And then we can start to work with the flow up and down. You go up, and then you open and receive back in. So this is a whole new way, 5th dimension and higher, of manifesting. We connect to the quantum field and we begin to bring that energy back down into our core, and the magnetic torus is spinning that energy, and it starts to materialize it in your physical world. So very fast, I know I just went through that very quickly, but I'm going to walk you through the steps, and just follow along as best you can. Thank you, John. And you might find, maybe you're kind of going back into that thinking mind a bit and just stop. This is why I had to stare at a candle flame for 2 years, okay? So you're going to just stop. No, and you're going to go back into your psychic visualizing right brain. And we're going to use our feet to ground. So I'll give you a little quick grounding practice too. All right. So we've been just kind of talking and discussing. So let's just kind of focus now, and we're going to go get present into our heart and our core center, into the breath. Imagine you're kind of like stepping into your body and getting into your core. We're getting centered. We're going to use our feet chakras like magnets. Imagine that they're locking on to your grounding path of light. And the light of your feet chakra connects to the light of your path. There we go. Get a nice connection. As I mentioned, we're literally moving electrical current through our body. So light current, ground right onto your path of light. Then we're going to go even one level lower and connect our light grounding to the crystalline global grid. This is 5th dimension and higher. And so this is how we start to connect to the higher dimensional grid. It's ley lines of light all around the planet. You can even connect to a favorite sacred site if you like. I connect to Mount Shasta's ley line grid there. So locking on to our beloved Gaia's crystalline grid. And there we go. You might even feel it kind of tug. So we're starting to get the magnetic lock. I also create a sacred space as we're opening up the vortex. So let's go and connect to our divine I am presence, our soul presence. We're going to connect to Mother, Father, Source, and call in your team. So starting to call in all of your spirit guides and angels, ascended masters, elders, the councils, shamans, all who are here supporting you in your ascension and the global ascension. So we're now setting up a very sacred space with them. We also, as we mentioned, we can't really manifest anything without nature. So let's call in the nature spirits, the crystal kingdom, the devas, and the elementals of air, fire, water, earth, and ether. Just breathe into that. And Archangel Metatron is here, and so he's going to place Metatron's cube under your feet in your grounding. You're going to step into the center of it. We just give it our light, give it our energy, and it begins to activate it. And those 12 circles in Metatron's cube, they start to rise up as pillars of light up and around the body and the aura. And they're vibrating, they're toning, they're like tuning forks. They're toning, they're humming with Om, the Om tones. And that begins to rotate them. And so now they're going to start to circle around you right to left in a counterclockwise spin. It's also a feminine vortex, so it's actually radiating your energy outwards. So imagine your aura is now getting bigger and multidimensional. We're starting to expand out now. There we go, good shift. And now we're also going to accelerate it faster so that we can start to collapse the time barriers. Gravitational time barriers, there we go, spinning up faster. This is increasing your energy frequency, so you have to root the feet. Spinning, 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 faster. And it starts to open the field all the way out to the quantum level. There we go. Whew. And then that lets us inside into our etheric body. And so let's come inside now to our chakra pillar. And visualize that you're going to start at the root chakra there, right at the pelvic floor. And we're going to bring an inward spiral now, anti-clockwise. Start at the root. And this is where we begin to open up our channel. So spiraling up. Fast spin all the way up, all the physical chakras opening and cleaning out density and trauma and sludge. There's opening those chakras. You're going past your crown, getting above the crown into the higher transpersonal chakras. There's 5 above your head. So we're going up to the 12th, all the way up. And as we get, there we go, up to the 12th chakra, this is where you connect up with your higher self, your God self, your divine soul presence. I always just see a beautiful light being there, and I connect heart to heart with my higher self because we've lost our connection. So you're now building that bond back. There you go, heart to heart. And now we're going to start to reverse and come back down your channel now that it's opened up more. And you're bringing more of your soul presence back down the channel. So if you're looking up, you're this open receiver breathing down and in. Soul light, soul love, soul essence, soul consciousness. Let that flow down and into your heart space, into the chakras, filling in with more of your divine presence, your divine essence, your God self. And it's coming down and in as your soul's golden light and your sound waves, your tones, your frequencies. So just allow that to fill inside. Like you're an empty cup, you're filling inside with more of your divine presence, divine soul essence. There you go. That's opening things up. And then one last step. We want to establish a non-polarized field. It's called 0 point. And so we're going to use the infinity of light and loop it left, right at your heart center, back and forth, left and right, right and left. And let's go to the center of that infinity, right in the center of your heart. And that is zero gravity. It's a 0 point. It's very still and calm and balanced. And breathe in all your energy into your heart, into that balance point. There we go. And then it kind of lifts up and out what's out of balance. And we just exhale it out, release out, spin out any discordant energies, any polarized negativity. Up and out, and the vortex sends it back to source light to transmute it back to light. Ooh, that was a good release. Let's do it again now at the left-right brain, the mental body, running the infinity of light, left brain, right brain, back and forth, because they've been disconnected. And so we're uniting again at the corpus callosum, right there that connects the two brains. Weaving back and forth, integrating, uniting. And then we go right to the center point again. It's zero gravity, very still, calm, non-polarized. Ooh, we got it. And bringing your energy into that zero balance in the mind and the two brains. Ooh, breathe that in, release back out, whatever's not in harmony, any imbalance, negative polarized charge, up, out. Ooh, spin back to source light. So by doing this process, we're using our own divine light presence and sacred geometry to establish a very coherent field. Let's do one more. Now this is going to be a vertical infinity, looping around the heart, then up to the mind, back down to the heart. And let's bring them into coherence, because they're not. So we're going to start to run it. There we go. Coming into harmony and balance, heart and mind connection. Ooh, there we go. Reaching that coherence point. We're there now, reuniting, because that also is separated. Mind and matter was separated. So we're reuniting mind and heart, mind and matter. And this really expanded space, let's bring more of that soul love into the heart, more love coming down from our angels, our soul family, mother, father, source. Just breathe in that beautiful love into, if the heart's been empty, we're filling it. Ooh, here comes a nice flow in, down your channel, filling into the heart. Let it expand. It starts to become like this big golden sun in your chest. Pure love, pure soul light. You might even feel it starting to tingle and vibrate. And it gets overflowing and into the magnetic field around the heart center. So now you're starting to develop heart magnetism, soul magnetism. And this begins to pull in from the quantum field what matches you, what supports you. So let's do an abundance flow. So we've got this channel opened all the way up to the higher self in our abundant universe. So again, we're using frequency match. So we're going to open up our channel and start to bring down through the higher self financial support, relationship support, business support, personal support. You're going to bring that energy. So you're this open receiver, breathing down and in that abundant flow. And you're going to bring it into your heart center and fill with all that you need to support you in your ascension, in your joy, in your prosperity, in your relations. Oh, that's filling up. Fill that in. Open abundance flow coming in. All that you need to live in pure fulfillment. And then all that you need to fulfill your purpose, your destiny, your blueprint. Ooh, that's good. You're getting some transmissions coming down and in from your higher self now. Breathe that in. Could be light code, light language, consciousness to support you. Ooh, there's another flow coming down and in. So we're starting to get this open receiver. We want to be receiving this help all the time. And I just hold it in my core, in my heart, so it doesn't drain out. And let's also work on our containment, because we really don't want this to leak out. We want it to build inside and magnetize and continue to build on itself. So let's now look at our outer boundary. We're talking about energetic boundaries. So we're going to go around the auric boundary, around the outer boundary of your aura. And let's have Metatron help us, and your team's going to help you and create a nice, strong container of light all around the outer auric boundary. So you're in an orb of light. There we go. All the way around, 360 degrees. And it connects with your feet. They're on your path of light, so it moves with you wherever you go. Ooh, there we go. That just locked in. And it's got like shields of light. It's not soft and ephemeral. It's definitely a containment, a boundary. People will feel it and honor it and respect it. And I found it really listens to what I need. So when I meditate, it goes way out, right? Multidimensional, big auric boundary. And then when I'm in like a really tight group, like getting on the elevator in the hotel, right? It comes right down around the body, contains me in a tight space. And so it is very fluid, but it is your personal boundary, your healing boundary. So, okay, we're just breathing into our field, and I'm already starting to feel another release. So let's just, again, bring down from the higher self this crystalline diamond light of source. You're going to let the source light wash through you, flush through you, all your biocircuits and meridians and chakras and organs. You're just getting a nice flow, washing from head to feet, all the way through. And maybe something has gotten triggered this weekend, or you're just ready to let go of something that's been nagging. So we're going to just let the light flush up and out, whatever's ready to release and clear. And we just breathe it out and let it go and spin it out and send it back to Mother, Father, Source. Woo, here we go. Up, out. And it's going to get transmuted in the light of Source. Oh, and this kind of works in layers. So here comes another layer, up and out. Whew. When we bless it and release it and let it go back to Source. And it might be some emotion coming up, some old memory or trauma. Could be we're detoxing. You don't control it. Just let it lift. Oh, here comes another wave. You guys are doing great. And we're just blessing it and releasing it out. So we're opening our container for more of our own soul light presence to fill in. And this is the transmutation stage we've been talking about. We let go of what we've grown out of. We're done. We're complete. Kind of like old baggage. We're just letting all that transmute into light, and we're filling in. Let's breathe down more of our beautiful divine soul presence to come in and merge with our human self in the heart center. I always see my soul and my human in a loving embrace, heart to heart connection there. Just bring these parts of you together. And as we're weaving this infinity at our heart, imagine it's also weaving your masculine and feminine energies in that sacred union. So you've got your feminine on the left side, masculine on the right side. We're bringing them into that sacred union at the heart. It's like the sacred marriage. Because when we can unite these different aspects of ourselves that are considered dualistic, when we unite them and harmonize them and blend them together, we begin to ascend beyond duality. We move into unity consciousness. And so let's just feel into that for a minute. Your human and your soul merging, uniting. Your masculine, your feminine, uniting. Even the light and the shadow, uniting. Positive, negative, uniting. There we go. Ooh, feel that right in your core. Everything just gets still and calm and balanced in oneness. And I find we begin to live from this core heart center out into the world. This is the bridge to fifth dimension, this loving heart vibration. Because the fifth dimension and higher is a feeling field. It's not a thinking field. It's a feeling field. So as we become more present in the heart, in this union of all aspects of ourselves, the fifth dimension and higher opens to us, and we start to live in the higher dimensional realities and perspectives and opportunities. So we're opening our heart to our soul path, our soul destiny, our soul gifts and service, and we're opening ourselves to our ascension blueprint. Just breathe the light into that for a minute. Your ascension blueprint. It's like a map, an owner's manual, giving you all that you need Every step of the way. There we go. Whew, that's opening in the heart more. You're divinely coded for your ascension. So getting the light into your dormant codes turns them on, activates them, lights them up. Just breathe more of that crystalline light into your soul code, your soul blueprint, your ascension timeline. And it loves that light. Just activates, turns on. Just spinning, feeling it open up inside. We're going to now start to ground it in. So the vortex is picking up speed again, and it's beginning to transmit all that we just did in the quantum field to come now inside you, into your physical body, physical life, grounding in onto your path of light there at your feet. We're spinning in, merging in, blending in. All the work we've done is activating you on the DNA and RNA level. And you're becoming this soul embodiment now. Whew. Spinning in, grounding in. There we go. Locking in. You can tap in your arms, your legs as you're really pulling it into your physicality. And as it takes hold in this now moment of all possibilities, we set this into motion now, and so it is.
And so it is.
And that completes our activation for tonight. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Meg.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I've paid good money for that.
And please know that you can download, or let any of your friends know, you can download from ascensionnow.org the PDF that has Ascension tips, 15 tips each in 3 different sections. And if you signed our e-list, you'll be getting the free book that will have the descriptions on it. And Meg, would you like to share what you offer?
Yes, if you come to my website, newearthcentral.com, and you sign up for my newsletter notices, you'll get a free download of the Vortex activation that you can work with on your own. There's also an ebook, Ascension tips as well, some more other Ascension tips. So you're welcome to sign up for that. I also have a book and CD here if you're interested. I'm selling it at an Expo discount, $10 each. And so there's a 0-point harmonics meditation that you can work with on your own. And I also do monthly global activations, people calling in from all around the world. We get thousands of people from countries. I can't even believe they're finding this, but it's amazing. And we do global work. We get into the collective field, and we don't have to be passive about taking over our collective field. We can get in there and influence it. And so we do a lot of alchemy in the collective field, really birthing our new earth and grounding it in. And so I do at least one a month. So if you get on the newsletter, you can see when they're coming. You can sign up and join us. We're also going to be, as Debra mentioned, doing this even more tomorrow. Why don't you share with them?
Yeah, the post-conference workshops tomorrow at 8 p.m. We'll have 2.5 hours, so we'll be able to go into the additional Ascension tips, number 2 and 3, that I just sort of mentioned that are on there, and we'll be able to go deep into those. And John, you want to share what you offer?
Yeah, so I have the show Beyond the Ordinary Show. You can find it beyondtheordinaryshow.com, and I interview amazing beings like Meg, even though I'll say it out loud, Meg's one of my favorites. No. It's true. It's the work that I received and the activations and my expansion and through my ascension and accessing different layers of myself on the higher realms. It's through work like this and other ways of integrating different soul aspects and recovery that's coming in. So I offer these types of interviews for free on beyondtheordinaryshow.com. If you sign up, you'll get also a library of meditations and activations also just for joining the list. You will receive a daily email from me, but a lot of people think that that's an activation also. It's so funny that I apologize for the emails, and then some people go, no, send us more. It's like we feel your love, we feel the activation, we feel the vibration, and there's a lot to be said for that. It's really the essence of what the platform provides. And on top of that, I've been asked to teach more and to share my experience more so in living in the extraordinary it's taken beyond the ordinary, and me sharing my experience and using these tools that I've been gifted with from my own guides, and again, these amazing way showers, and putting it in a place where we share in community with one another. And so I get to teach from my personal journey for those who may resonate with it as well. And that's a powerful group as well, livingintheextraordinary.com.
So thank you so much. We love you and appreciate you for joining us today. Thank you.
That was fun. Thank y'all.
Woohoo.
You did. It really grabbed me. That's yours.